I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hello and welcome to the Business Renovator. I'm excited. It's Wednesday and Dave Watkins is here. That's why I'm excited, because we get to hang out. I'll bring him up here shortly. So today's topic is marketing as an art or a science. Which one's most important? Well, we're going to have a conversation around that. And if you would like to pop in and answer a question or ask a question, provide some insight, your opinions, please do that. We welcome that. Whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, wherever you're watching us from, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, doesn't matter. Send us a message and we'll respond to it. If we have an answer, or if we don't, we'll get back to that one at a later date when we can find you an answer. Before I get going, I would like to bring on my sponsor, which is essentially me, but here we go. Hey, welcome back. And here's Dave Watkins.
Good morning. How's everybody today? I'm Dave Watkins. I'm a coach here in the Woodlands, Texas, just north of Houston, and spent a career in oil and gas.
I was going to make a comment about that, but I've decided it's adult.
Well, tell me later.
I will.
I'd like to hear it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm also involved in the oil and gas sector. I have a software tool that's a niche product. It's not my mainstay, but I'm keeping the legacy of a man who was a game changer in my life way back when, had a bout of cancer, and he's not with us anymore. It hasn't been for about 20 years. I'm also a business coach, and if you have a question for a Focal Point business coach, guess what? I'm one. And if I don't have the answer, if I don't have the expertise, I'm affiliated with a network around the globe. So we can probably get your answer to the question that you pose. So reach out. My website is coachphil.ca, and we'll give you some more information about that. Before we jump into today's topic, marketing as an art and a science, I want to remind everybody that's watching this now to share this out and make your comments. And if you're watching on the replay, go #replay. Let us know where you're coming from. And again, if you have a question, or any of you have somebody that you think should be a guest on the Business Renovator that has a story that would maybe have an impact on somebody, please introduce them to us. Now, Dave, marketing as an art and a science. You brought this wonderful topic up, and I thought it was genius.
Oh, well, thank you so much. The topic came to me because some of my clients they like the art part of the marketing polarity, and some of them like the science, and they have a hard time sometimes balancing the two, and they struggle with that. So I try to help them to see both sides and meld them together into a good marketing program.
It sounds like you're a really smart dude then, because you probably could answer the question here. What is the difference between one and the other, art and the science?
I have no idea. No, I do.
You art, teaser.
So art is the expression of our feelings, thoughts in a way that others can understand them. It can be written like a novel, a poem. It can be visual like a painting, but it's something inside you. You want to get it out in a creative way, and so you create art. Science is the scientific method. People sometimes forget that, but it's a process. You have a hypothesis, you test it, see what you learned, and then move to the next stage.
So something comes to mind to me is that art is subjective and science is objective. So the second is that art expresses knowledge, most often in the form of subjective representation, and while science is the system of acquiring knowledge and applying it. Would you agree with that? Would that support what you just said?
Yeah, that's a very well put description right there.
Yeah, I Googled it.
And you just went with it.
I did. It just made sense to me because it explains it to me. And one thing I know about marketing is I've heard that half the time it doesn't work and half the time it does. So you just have to do a whole bunch of it and hope some works. That's not very scientific. That's kind of more on the artsy side of things. So what I would encourage people to do is don't be crazy with that unless you got an unlimited amount of money that you can throw towards your marketing strategies. And I said strategies as opposed to tactics. And there's a difference in that as well, isn't there?
Absolutely. So, and both are important, strategy and tactics, like everything else in life. You need to know the big picture and then the steps to get there.
What I've learned over the last decade and a half is that we all walk down this buyer's journey. Metaphorically, we don't maybe physically walk down. It doesn't really exist. It's not like the #1 highway in the US or Canada that we can drive down, but it is a path to take. And strategically is taking the tactics and adding them to the strategy. And the buyer's journey is at one end of it. There's like 1 maybe to 5% are now buyers, and the rest of them are maybe buyers, soon to be buyers, and they move along the buyer's journey in their emotional state. So, for example, in the business that we're in, people don't care when I have a mortgage or you have a mortgage payment to make, but they certainly care about theirs. So if we could help them with their mortgage payments, and we were marketing to that to help them do that in terms of making more money with their business, they'd be more apt to lean into what we're doing and what we could offer them, right? Mm-hmm. They really don't care when you and I need to make a mortgage payment. It's not about us.
They don't, yeah.
The other thing I like about the buyer's journey is it's a reminder that you're building relationships and building trust and earning the right to be considered as a solution provider. So that when they get to that point of the 1 to 5% now buyers, that they'll consider you or me mm-hmm. when they're looking at who they're going to invest their money and time with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know some people refer to that as getting to the place of knowing the other person, trusting them, and liking them.
Yeah. I was just listening into, it was only yesterday. No, it's a special. It was Monday. We had a master class with a group coaching around LinkedIn that I hang out with, and they brought in a special guest, and it's Bob Berg, and he coined the phrase of people buy from people they like, know, and trust. Mm-hmm. And he's the author of Endless Referrals, and then the other was Go Giver. I almost said the other one from the networking group, but that's not
right.
Yeah. Anyway, he was interesting. It was all about bringing value and helping people get to that place where they're trust us.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's really important.
So, do you think marketing helps build the trust?
I think it can contribute, but I think as far as establishing a relationship, either with your customers that you know or don't know, there are other ways to build trust. But in your marketing program, say you're selling to a large market, you can't meet with them individually, so you have to build the trust in the marketing pieces that you send out, credentials and testimonials, that sort of thing.
I had an interesting experience talking about trust and marketing and building all of that. I was looking for a particular service provider for something in my office, and using social media, I got some introductions, and one individual reached out and jumped right into, do I want to have a consulting session? And it stopped me in my tracks. I went looking at website and information about this particular company, and they might be the best in the industry at it, but the message that they were portraying didn't maybe suggest that. And jumping right into the consult right away versus building a bridge to that introduction to the next step. Consult to me means all of a sudden now I got to buy something. I'm just looking. So in the buyer's journey, psychologically for me, I'm still in the looky-loo stage, trying to find somebody who resonates with me based on their marketing story, website, social media, and the language that they use. So there was a disconnect for me with this particular agency. Have you ever had anything like that, or?
Have I? Yeah. Who else is there, right? Yes, I've had that a number of times, and of course, you get that every day through LinkedIn.
Oh,
you get people wanting to offer you services, and you're on the clock as soon as you call me, and I find that off-putting, like you said. Really, I've had it other times too. People want to just drive right to the buy.
mm-hmm. I'm playing with the buttons here.
I could tell.
Yeah, they're social media. I'm not going to pick on LinkedIn particularly, but it does happen there a lot. There's in my group coaching, what they've been teaching, coaching, and training us with is the connect and pitch is not the way to go. It's too early, too quick. We need to build the trust. So we need to develop the art of communicating with our audience in a way that resonates with them, not with us. It's not about us needing to pay our mortgage payment. It's helping them to find a way to pay their mortgage payment. In my mortgage payment example, right? Assuming we all have mortgages and they're looking for a way to make good on their commitment.
I had a great experience on LinkedIn the other day.
Did you? Tell me about it.
I had someone contact me, and they wanted to connect to broaden their network, and which is very typical, and usually means I want to sell you something.
Yeah.
But she didn't follow up with a pitch. Instead, she followed up about a week later and sent me something very valuable, and thought I might be interested. And sure enough, I was very interested. I thought it was high quality stuff. And so now she's piqued my interest.
Yeah. And the trust factor is a little bit stronger, right?
Yeah, it exists now.
And you move from, connect and pitch. What are they going to sell me?
Yeah.
That happens a lot, unfortunately. And it's not just, let's not pick on LinkedIn, but we could.
No, that's just my experience.
Well, it happens everywhere, though. I mean, when we're able to get together in the physical environment and network with other people, whether it's actually an official networking event or if it's just getting together a group of people, there's those that get right into it and start telling you everything and anything about what it is they're into without even having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the magic is just, there's a good example in the How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think it was Dale Carnegie was in New York City, and he was at an event, and there was this cranky old, well, maybe they weren't old, but cranky botanist that was grumpy and didn't like people much. And as the story goes, in one of the local newspapers there, after an event that they were all at, this particular individual felt it was a wonderful conversation between themselves and Dale Carnegie. And what Carnegie had done is apparently asked 2 questions and listened the whole time. So it was, in the grumpy botanist's mind, it was a very valuable, well-balanced conversation where it really wasn't. But Carnegie allowed them to speak. I published a poem, and I'm looking for my phone here, guys, to see if I can find the meme I posted. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you've not, but let me find it. Because it's about this topic. Now, I've kind of gone off of marketing here. Reel me back in any minute. It goes something like this. Oh, I just upgraded to my operating system on my phone, and let me get to where I want to get to. Okay, here we go. It says, a wise old owl lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Wasn't he a wise old bird? And then it goes on to say, why can't we be like that wise old bird? And that's what Carnegie did. And I think in our marketing and building that trust, that's a good little poem to think about, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I love it. Plus, I love owls anyway.
No way.
I do.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's pretty quick, Phil.
It's my large Timmy's coffee. It's got me going. Plus, I'm jacked up hanging out with you.
Oh, great.
So here's a question. Which one's better?
Well, this is I've got an answer to you.
Oh, good.
Each one is needed at its time, and I have a personal experience with that. In that I was for a while in the retail software business, and as a former scientist and as someone who doesn't know a lick about design, I designed a software box, and boy, no one wanted that box. We hired an artist to do this. He made the most beautiful box. We sent it out to all of the buyers, and they said, "Oh, that box is going to sell. I want that box." They didn't care what the software was, but we want that box. That's going to sell. And so then it was pretty much all. So we needed the science to make the product, but without the art, we would have gone nowhere. Have that's a product sale, Phil. And you and I have both done sales of services as well. Do you have any perspective from your sales of services regarding art and science?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think the art and science side of it is pretty much the same. Because there's a physical product versus a tangible or intangible product, so tangible, intangible, how we communicate and explain it and educate people on it might be different. For example, software. Can you really see the software? Because I also have a software tool. You can't see the code and the software itself. All you can see is you've got an app on your computer that does what you want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
However, the only way to see that is to demonstrate it through a presentation on the computer, so which brings it into the tangible space. Whereas if you're selling a car, a house, or a building, or a boat, or a camera, you can actually show them. It's physically there. You can. I know when I was in the new home industry, we would, if we had a show home or if we had models under certain states of construction, we'd walk them through and ask active questions which involve them in it. Because unlike existing built already there real estate, they can see what's there for the most part, the size of the rooms, the garage, the lot, and all that kind of stuff. When you're doing a new one, it's somewhat intangible because you could be standing on a lot that has nothing other than a for sale sign on the utility post with the power and water connection, and that's all that's there. And so you would need to walk the property and measure it out and paint a picture to turn it into something physical. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but I hope it did. Yeah,
it does. I know it's actually services and products are similar in that if we're doing services, we have to build our ability to provide those services, which takes education, training, the thoughtful analysis of what we're actually providing.
Yeah.
And so products and services aren't as different. There are differences in marketing, but they're very similar in many ways.
So in our little window of discussion around science and art of marketing, it sounds like you need both. The practical, the objective side of it, and then also the subjective side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think why that's important is human beings are 100% emotional, which is we need to wake them up, tap into their reticular activating system, and engage in their feelings, their emotions. Then we, as human beings, are logical afterwards. We can tell you why we didn't buy it, or we can tell you why we did buy it. We can give you all the justification why we went ahead and spent all this money on whatever it was, a high-end car, a high-end watch, or a computer. I'm thinking of a friend of ours, I won't mention the name, who's very logical in his thinking. And even though he is very logical in his thinking, I have caught him after he's, like, I can tell he's either bought it or soon to buy whatever it was he's talking about. And the justification, the logic of why he's going to do it is rampant. It's really solid. It really makes sense. But with the emotional engagement that got him there. So the art justified by the science. Mm-hmm. So we all go through that at various stages. And I'm glad you brought this topic up, my friend.
Well, I'm glad that you are glad. It's really, I find with my clients, most of them aren't wanting to do the post-marketing program analysis, which is part of the science. So their hypothesis is, if I buy this, if I put an ad in this periodical, my sales are going to go up.
Oh man!
And so then I'll ask them, well, did you check? Did they go up? Are you monitoring it? Well, I'm sure if I just got one client from that, it would pay for the ad. That's a typical response.
Well, that's true. It probably would. The catch is, did you get somebody? So that goes back to tactical ego and that sort of things. I've had the opportunity to work with small businesses that fall in love with the idea of hearing their name or seeing their name or seeing their logo somewhere in a magazine like you're talking about, or on the radio. And they get a 30-second spot and they do their thing and their name gets on there and nobody hears it except for them and their friends and family. Hey, I heard your name on the radio. That's awesome. But they didn't get it to convert to a call to action. And then they blame radio and they blame the magazine. It didn't work. Well, that's not radio's fault, because I mean, radio stations are growing and expanding and still providing an outlet to get your message out. I think where they go wrong, not the radio stations or the magazines, because they do work. Going back to the strategy, buyer's journey. Have you tapped into the marketing formula, interrupt, engage, educate, and offer? Or are you just looking to put your, there's a whole bunch of stories just going through my head about live experiences of people who tried what we're talking about and they're out of business. And they're out of business because they did what we're talking about in desperation as a tactic versus a strategy. And if they had been long-term thinking, how can I creatively and innovatively get a story out and tell the message with a minimal amount of risk and of money and loss? And they would have found a way to do it. But the ones that are at that place that I'm thinking of is they took their last bit of financial wherewithal and put it into that one tactic. It was not very strategic, but it was one tactic. And it didn't really have a good ad. They didn't have a call to action. There wasn't an emotional connection. It didn't interrupt. It didn't engage. And there was no education portion, and there was no call to action. The call to action is call us for a free consult or a free evaluation. You mean other people charge? I mean, how crazy is that? It needs to speak to the problem that they have, ideal target audience, that they don't want, and looking for the solution that they can't find. So if you can get to that place in your marketing story, you have a better chance of converting people and building the trust. But if you jump right into as we were talking about that other platform, we're often solicited by people that want to connect with us. We connect and then they pitch. And I hate the word pitch unless I'm playing baseball, curves, or knuckleballs, fastballs, great pitch, or football, like soccer, football pitch, soccer pitch. Totally there. But when we're working with human beings, I don't like the idea of pitching to them. And I don't like the idea. I heard somebody say, and I haven't heard this for a long time, roping them in. We don't want to rope them in, right? We want to earn the right to have them want to work with us and see us as the value provider that they were looking for to solve the problem that they were having. They couldn't find a solution to until they found us. So I think that's the art and science of marketing in a nutshell.
Well,
and it does need to be measured, to your point.
I really like what you said about the pitch, because and roping people in, because that speaks to mindset, which is so important in marketing and sales. Because without a solid mindset that respects the other person that you're wanting to engage with, you're lost.
Right.
And I had my father-in-law once come and speak to our sales staff. He's one, because he loves to do it, and two, because they needed to hear it. And the first question was, how do I pitch these people? Oh, he gave them a long lesson about not saying that again. Never, ever say that again. And they didn't believe him. I tried to reinforce it. Yeah.
He's a wise man.
He is. A
very wise man. I had another great thought to ask you. And now it vaporized. It's funny how these things go. As they say in France, c'est la vie. I don't think we have anything in English to replace that.
That's life. No, it's not a
cliche. C'est la vie. That's life.
Okay, I'll ask you later.
No, go ahead. Ask me now.
Are you a French speaker?
No.
Because I know a lot of you Canadians are.
There are a bunch of Canadians that are bilingual and speak both French and English. I'm not one. I know a few phrases, and I can say hello and goodbye and how are you? And I don't want to embarrass myself live.
Continuing to speak French.
Yeah, I learned a little bit, but not. I can't. Google's translation is a brilliant tool.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, so if I wanted to get a hold of you, I know where to get you, but our audience, viewers, wouldn't. So you could get Dave, go to his website, focusgrowthperformance.com, and his contact information is there. If you'd like to have a conversation with him, throw a question at him, or if you just want to see what he's all about, go check him out. And mine is coachphil.ca, as I mentioned before. And I'm happy to say we're adding a blog to my website. So I'll be adding some additional content and information for those who are looking for things, information, content around the theme of this business renovator, which is sales, marketing, and mindset. So we talked about all three of those again today, Dave, didn't we?
Isn't that great?
I know. We don't always hit all three, but usually we do. What we both found out is that everything starts with our thinking, our mindset. If we don't have the right mindset, as Henry Ford, was it Henry Ford? So if you think you can or think you can, either way you're right. That's a simple explanation or example of mindset. There's lots of other great content and authors and experts that speak of that. A great book if you're looking to change your mind a little bit is an old classic by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Now read it in today's world and be open-minded to the maleness of it, because back in whenever he published that, it was male dominant. We're moving away from that. So it's people, not him or her. It's all of us.
Can I share one thing? I know we're getting late here.
No, you go right ahead.
I talked to a guy who's been in business 50 years yesterday, and I asked him about his experience, and he had me go to his website and showed me a poem, and it was a poem that his wrestling coach had all the wrestlers learn, all about mindset. And so I asked him if I could use that. So he said yes, but he said that was the key to his life and his success, was getting the mindset that young. So he did that with his kids too. Are you going to share the poem with everybody, or I don't have it. I wish I had it copied. I could put it in chat.
Yeah. Do you know what it's called?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to. I'll have to mail it to you.
Yeah, and we could share that somewhere. Maybe if there was some show notes or something, if my team could make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a slice. We're back together in a couple of weeks on a Wednesday with another topic, which we haven't decided yet, but it'll be something around sales, marketing, and mindset. So until we meet again, I'm Coach Phil, and you are
Dave Watkins in the Woodlands, Texas.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.